his U.S. titles, his top 5 finishes at Olympics or World Championships. That's what people remember about Matt Centrowitz. So I think it's noteworthy in that regard that he's at least taken a shot at it, a big swing, and going after this American record. If you're curious about what his mile PB is and his 1500 meter PB is, if you aren't that keyed into what Centro's been doing, 350 back in 2014 is his mile PB 7 years ago, and 330 1500 from 2015. So this would be a big step up from that mile PB. 1500, we'd say that converts to 347-ish, 347 high maybe. So in range of that. That was a Monaco 1500 though. I don't know if the Jesuit high school track is as fast as Monaco. I don't know if we have the conversion tables up from Jesuit high school to Monaco. It will be an entirely different race, but I just think it's interesting that he's going for it. He must be confident that he's in at least sub 350 shape if he's going after this. Centro is not the type of person who would just make up a record attempt out of thin air because he's literally never done it his entire career.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to think he 100% is sub 350 shape and he wants to take advantage of it. It's interesting he is doing this. You know, I kind of, maybe he's trying to simulate this like you said, like a Monaco, because a lot of times the top 1500 meter runners go to Monaco, they get a fast PB before the Olympic Games, you know, happens in July, and he opted not to do Monaco. And maybe this is like his mini Monaco without having to travel, to have like that hard effort to see how you know, non-tactical, what type of fitness am I in? And I think he clearly wouldn't do it if he thought he was like a 352, 351, even 350. I think he only is doing this because he thinks he can like at least break 348, maybe 349. And then if you're in that range, hey, let's eye 346.91 by Alan Webb. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
What is a reason he will do it? What's a reason that he will break 346.91? And then what is a reason he won't do it?
A reason he would break 346, or a reason he's attempting to do it in the first place?
No, the reason why he can do it.
Well, the reason he could do it is because he's not over raced. That's for sure. He's barely scratched the surface. I think when he ran that 3x800 race / workout, it's so funny when you look up his results page and you see the 3 results there, and you're just like, oh man, he ran a lot of 800s, and then you're like, oh no, they were all on June 9th. I think he said that tracked pretty well to what he's done in previous seasons. And I've said this about Centro before. He knows the sport forwards and backwards. He knows his own performances forwards and backwards. So he's probably looking at something and comparing it to what shape he was in that 2014, 2015 range. Or I guess you could even say 2016 because the guy won the gold medal in 2016. And he's looking at what he did in terms of workouts in those 3 years. And he's saying something around that or faster than that is possible given my workouts. That would be the reason why.
Yeah. I would say the reason why he would do it is this is the last thing that, like, this is the last carrot that he wants to get. You know, he's already, as much as he wants to win the Olympics this year, he's already done it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's something different about winning your second Olympics than winning your first. And I just think this is one thing that he mentally will be like super honed in and focused on. Like, I think his loss at the trials didn't bother him that much. I think he recognized, like, all right, cool. I lost one of the 10 that I've won, right? And I think his focus for this will be a lot stronger than I think his focus was for the Olympic trials, which is crazy to think. But I think because he's been through so many Olympic trials, so many U.S. top 3 finishes, his focus was there. But I think his focus was like, hey, all right, I should win. I want to win, but I'm going to be top 3 no matter what. And that's how that ran. Here, I think he recognizes, hey, I don't have many sub 350 attempts left in my career. I've said publicly, I feel like I'm in one of my best shapes of my life. So I might as well, this is like one of my last chances here. And I think that is a reason. I think a mental factor of like kind of going all in on his fitness in near the end of his prime to try to get one last attempt at trying to have that top mark of breaking Allen Webb. And it makes sense too. Like when you look at Allen Webb's career and you look at Centro, like I think when 20 years from now and you look at Allen Webb and Centro, we should be able to have Centro's PB should be faster than Allen Webb's.
Well, you remember Centro's medals, and for Webb, you remember the times. But you brought up an interesting point there, which is, it's one of his last opportunities to do it. But he could do it after the Olympics. So I think it's interesting to note, why is he doing it before the Olympics? And I saw a tweet out there from Kieran O'Leonard, which I think is pretty accurate, basically saying Timothy Cheruiyot's in the 1500. So you know this 1500 is going to be fast. So it's going to require a big effort from the gun. And perhaps that's what he's thinking as well, too, that this is better preparation for the Olympics than doing a sit and kick type traditional 340, 338 or something along those lines, or even getting into even though there aren't any Diamond League races, but a Diamond League type setup where, there's a fast first 400, but it slows a bit during the middle portion, and then he kicks to the end, and then we get a even a 332, 333. So I'll just read O'Leonard's tweet. He says, smart move by Centro to hit the all-out mile 10 days out from Tokyo. If Cheruiyot is going to take them to the twilight zone at the Olympics, best to know you've been there before. Getting your legs to turn over at that level, right? Otherwise, it's going to be a complete shock to the system. And if Cheruiyot goes out and runs, 330 pace or faster from the gun, Centro hasn't really touched on that this year. But with this attempt, he will.
Yeah, and you don't know what his body can handle, too, because he's going to go through this, and he's going to be like, all right, I know what that – he's going to have memories of 1K into this type of pace of what it's like, and can you hold on for 500 more meters at the Olympic Games? That's a good point. So, there's also that might be a non can I break it reason, but more of a why I'm doing it reason.
Well, it's both at this point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll give it a shot because I don't have many other chances. And also, this is the perfect preparation for the type of race I'm going to tackle in Tokyo. Maybe if Timothy Cheruiyot or Ingebrigtsen wasn't in the 1500 for whatever reason, and we almost had that scenario with Cheruiyot, maybe the preparation will be different. I just think Centro is so calculated in how he prepares for these things, and we've seen him get it right a lot of times. Same thing with Jerry Schumacher. They're not just running races to run races. As much as we would like to see him just run races and do an American record attempt for the sake of an American record attempt, it's all fitting into a larger plan, and I'm sure they've mulled it over quite a bit before they ran this. They didn't just say, hey, I had this written down 2021 go for the American record about 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm just going to do that. It was in my goal book. I had it on my vision board. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do Jesuit High School, get some of my teammates. We're going to try to run 346. No, it's because it fits in with what they're trying to accomplish in Tokyo next week.
Okay, here we go. Does he do it? Yes or no?
I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but I just think that's because that record is really impressive. But I think he's going to obviously PB. I think he'll go sub 350, and he's going to get what he needs to get out of this attempt. If he does do it, we need to reevaluate that whole 1500 meter field in Tokyo, which we'll do next week when we preview the podcast. Because if he has his closing speed and he's able to run a 346 mile, are you kidding me? We need to talk more about Centro as a threat here in this race, in any sort of race at that point.
So what I should do is I should go on one of the betting sites, and as soon as I see the result, before those betting sites are watching a random time trial in Jesuit High School, if he runs 346, his like 10-1 odds, you hammer that, right? That's the plan. So that's what we can go win. Your house and my house. We could have 4 houses. Well, that's what we could do, man. But no,
Yeah.
because the odds aren't going to move at 9 p.m. in Jesuit on a Sunday or
Yeah.
Saturday, or whenever the race is. So, because I don't think his odds are
Well,
that good right now. What's the
no,
central odds? What look it up?
you could pull it up, but my point here is if you had to list a weakness for Centro, it's well, how is he going to do in these straight from the gun type races? Because you have to feel pretty good about his clothes. And I know, yeah, he got chased down by Hawker in Eugene, but traditionally he's pretty good. He's pretty good at closing in these races. Hawker was great. All credit to him in that race. But if he has the strength to be able to run a 346 mile, and you combine that with the way he navigates rounds, how tactically sound he is, and then that closing burst, you gotta I mean, then he's making a pretty strong case. What are his odds?
Plus 2,000.
Mm.
So you
Yeah,
gamble $100 and you win $2,000.
all right.
So
We'll
20
see.
to
We'll
1.
see.
He's 20 to
Do
1
you,
odds. And the bet
they're not moving
MGM
those.
is not going to know
No, they're not. They're not moving
that
those.
this is happening if he runs 346.
Well,
So we can
I
make a
think
lot
those
of money.
Olympic. I'd be interested to know, like, are any of those odds actually moving, or do they set those as the Olympic odds and then they're locked in because
I
they think
think they
there's
move.
nothing?
No, people. It moves based on when they see everyone. Oh, why is everyone gambling on this person? Oops, let's make it worse odds because too many people are doing it.
Oh,
You
I
know.
know, but I'm saying, are they taking in new information with regard to race results? I'm sure they'll look at start lists, and if people scratch, they'll take them off
Yeah,
and adjust odds accordingly. But to your point, I don't think they're tuned in
they're not going to
on
be tuned in
Saturday night.
enough to know about his mile, right? Because his start list is only going to have his 334, 1500 season's best
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Right?
All right.
But he is a defending Olympic champ, so I guess that will help him. But yeah, 20 to 1
Plus,
odds. And if he
yeah.
runs 346 mile, boom. We
Did you
got
see how
covered
low
gold.
Josh Kerr? Pull those odds up because I saw one where Josh Kerr was a super long shot
So Josh
on, which is
Kerr is not on the odd on BetMGM.
yeah. On one, he was a big long shot, and Oliver Hoare wasn't even listed. Which, yeah, it's gonna be tough to beat
Well,
Ingebrigtsen
it's to win.
and
Yeah.
Chariot. Yeah, but I'm saying, in a lot of those things, you're sort of betting on does this person like is there an injury or some sort of issue that keeps them from getting to the final? And if you told me if there's an issue with Chariot or Ingebrigtsen, then everybody's odds just shoot up dramatically. And those two guys particularly, Hoare and Kerr, have been running so well. You'd think they'd be right there in the mix, and they're behind a lot of people who I think don't have as good a shot. In any regard, we are going to preview right now the field events and the marathon for the Olympics. Thanks everybody for tuning in live on YouTube. If you got questions, comments, put them in the chat as we go. We're going to go in this order this time. We're going to start with the marathon because that's the event that has Eliud Kipchoge. Then we're going to go to the decathlon because the multi people were real excited last time. So we're going to reward them in the chat for going second. Then we'll go shot put, high jump, long jump, pole vault, triple jump, discus, hammer, and javelin. And of course, Gordon's rankings are on the site in every single event. Those are Gordon's top 10 projections, I'm guessing. And if we start with the marathon, big on Galen Rupp here. I got to say, you are very confident in one Galen Rupp. Eliud Kipchoge 1, then Rupp 2, Shura Kitada of Ethiopia, Lawrence Chirono, Kenya. Then you have Suguro Osaka of Japan 5, Sisay Lema of Ethiopia 6, Desisa 7, Bashir Abdi 8, Amos Kipruto 9, and Osbilin of Turkey the top 10. So I think that's a solid top 10. It's just the order, figuring out who goes where. Again, I think you're pretty high. You're pretty bullish on Galen Rupp, but obviously number one, Eliud Kipchoge. We saw him lose that race in London during 2020, but came back, went to the airport in the Netherlands, literally, and ran a marathon, ran 2:04:30, which looked pretty comfortable for him. Obviously, he's more vulnerable. His 10 marathon streak was snapped. He's more vulnerable than we thought, just based on that London loss. But I don't see any way you could say he's not the favorite in this race.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one Yeah, the only way Iliad loses is going to be Iliad. It's not going to be someone else outrunning him. It's going to be him having a side stitch or something
Yeah.
sick, or I don't know, twist his ankle. It's Kipchoge's race to lose.
Hmm.
I do want to. I don't really know what else we need to add to Kipchoge. I mean, his legacy's already set. I think even if
Yeah.
he were to finish dead last, we would just look at this performance as an asterisk to his actual career. So there's nothing really he needs to prove or do. I'm sure, obviously, he wants to win, but I think the pressure on the legacy of like what does this mean or not mean, I feel like is already done. This is just like extra. This is, Shaquille O'Neal on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hey, maybe we win, maybe we don't. I don't know. It's Dwayne Wade coming back to Miami Heat, but the only difference is he's on a team. It's like it would be like Shaquille O'Neal playing for the Warriors when the Warriors were really good. It's like, hey, you're gonna probably win. So, but he's still good. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm trying to make an NBA reference. I
No,
love my NBA references.
I think a better one would have been Karl Malone going to the Lakers, except Karl Malone never won a title, so it's kind of tough to find the exact one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll go to the next person on your rankings, which is Rupp. And the reason why I think you're a little optimistic on Rupp, number one, the rest of the field is obviously really good. Chirono in particular, he won Boston and Chicago in 2019 and was second in Valencia last year around 203. So he's sharp right now. DeCisa's always good. Katata's been great recently. And Rupp, you look back, and he hasn't run a marathon since the Olympic trials. He's run some 10Ks this year. His last marathon pre-trials, his last international marathon where he had a field like this was 2018. Finished fifth in Chicago. That was the same year he, ran the fast in Prague, ran his 206 there. That was also the year he DNF'd in Boston. So it's been a while since we've seen Rupp in a marathon. And if he's a 205, 206 guy, even if you say he's a 204 guy, there's a lot of people in this field who can run with him at that pace. And I get it. It's going to be a championship race. And Rupp's thrived in those sort of settings before, but it's just been a while since we've seen him in a marathon with a field of this caliber. And he's 35 now.
Yeah, and I agree it's been a while, but I think there's a reason for that. I think he is not trying to use up I think he knows he has limited bullets left in his chamber, and he's trying and he saved them these past year and a half, 2+ years for just the Olympic trials and the Olympic Games. I mean, it wasn't even close when his like Atlanta performance, while it's only a 209, he just looked like he was like just so much better than everyone else. And obviously it's an American, so take that with a grain of salt. But
yeah.
He didn't have any sign of like, hey, you're kind of. I think he knew coming off of his injury. When did he get injured? In 20.
That was 19. He didn't race.
19.
2019.
He knew
coming. It was the end yeah.
Coming off his injury in 2019, and also the whole Salazar debacle. I think he's realized, hey, I don't need to prove myself anymore in any race moving forward. The only thing I need to do is set myself up to go all in on the most important championship races. And that is qualifying for the Olympics and then the Olympic Games. I think he's just been saving it all up for this moment. I think everything we've seen since 2019 has been in preparation for this one race. And that's the reason he hasn't tried to run a fast time here or there, or did the marathon project. He's done a bunch of shorter stuff. I think he's saving it all up for this one moment, and it's been circled on his calendar for now, 4 years. So
yeah,
that's
I think that's probably his approach. I think you're probably accurate there. And he's run some fast halves. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be a non-factor here. I absolutely think he's going to be a factor. I just let's compare this to 2016, the last time he was at the Olympics, and he got the medal there. He got the bronze. Did he improve his position at all? Well, Kipchoge is still around, and the gap between him and Kipchoge, I think, is the same because both of them have shown vulnerabilities since then. So maybe before Kipchoge was a 10 out of 10, and if Rupp was an 8 out of 10, maybe Kipchoge is now a 9.9 or something, and Rupp is just a tick down from what he was before. But the rest of the world is still there. That's my point here. So he's going to have to be back into peak Rupp form to beat people like Kitata and Chirono and Decisa. Because what is success for Rupp here? Is it a medal?
I mean, I think he wants gold, but I think he'll come back, be happy with a second or third.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, if Kipchoge's beatable, right? We've seen it. He lost in London. Was it London or London? So, London. I mean, I don't think Kipchoge's going to lose. I think he'll put together a good race. But in that 5 to 10% chance Kipchoge is having that bad day, Rupp wants to be as prepared as possible to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I
have 25%. I have 25% chance to medal, but it sounds like you'd put him much higher.
Okay. So 25% chance to medal. Where do you have him finishing? If you're a gambler, where is he finishing?
Can I give you a range, or do I have to give you a number?
No, you can give me a number. I had to do a number. I had to pick. I picked second. What are you picking?
I would not rank. So there's a difference between ranking and where I would pick him. I would rank him lower. I would rank him to the back half. Well, no, because
what position is he going to finish?
I will pick him for 4th. But I would rank him lower than that. But I think because of the race conditions and the fact that it's a championship style race, I think that will help get him up. But I would pick him for 4th. So
4th is like, I want to call you a medal contender, but I don't want to do it. That 4th is where you put the people who you want to say you're good, but you don't actually want to say it.
Well, I think it's going to be Kipchoge, Chirono, and Kitata, top 3, and then I mean, I give you my whole 10 if you want.
Yeah,
I could go into like I legitimately think he's going to run 4th, and I think that's going to be a great result, all things considered. But because people are judging him on medal or bust, or if they're looking at gold or bust, they're not gonna give him the credit that's due. Like, this field is legit. Like I said, Chirono has done it all. He's won the tactical races. He's won the championship style races in Boston. And then he just got second in that ridiculously fast Valencia race where he ran 2:03 low. Like, the guy is solid. The guy could win the entire race. And then you got to count on Kipchoge to come through. So I'll put Rupp for 4th. I would not say his chances of winning are 0, or even I'd probably put it a couple ticks higher than that. Like, I think on the right day, if the things break for him, he could win this race. But more often than not, I think he'd be in that around that 4th place range.
Got a question about the marathon. Sarah Likes Penguins asks, what do you think of Caleb Hawkins' chances? He hasn't run much recently, but he ran super impressive for 4th in Doha.
Yeah, and we were there in Doha. Link and I were there in Doha watching that men's marathon, which was just a wild ride. And Hawkins puts it all out there. I mean, his PB's just 2:08. So I think it just depends on the race. And we're going to know halfway, maybe a little bit past halfway, maybe even before halfway, what type of race we're going to see. And if it's a weather is bad, the favorites are struggling type of race, I think Callum Hawkins can work his way in there into the top 10, maybe even into the top 5. But
I think
if it's a race that early on you can see, hey, the favorites are keeping the pace honest, they're whittling this thing down, but they're not going so fast that half the field is going to fall apart. It'll be tough for him because, as I mentioned before, there's so many people with 2:05 PBs here. Like we mentioned Bashir Abdi on here. I mean, dude ran 2:04.49 in Tokyo. Osbourne's run 2:04.16. Like, there's just so many people who are capable of running sub 205, sub 206 that it's tough for people, like him, like you could talk about the other two Americans like Riley, like Abdi Abdurrahman to get some traction.
I think the major sleeper is Suguru Osaka, who's running in his home country, former NOP athlete. I think he's been running well in a lot of his marathons and his build up to go from the track to the marathon. I have him finishing, I think 5th or 6th on my rankings. I could see him being that surprise third place finisher, the way Rupp was the surprise third place finisher. And Japan will go nuts, right? If he got a medal because Japan loves distance running. It's one of their favorite pastimes. I mean, Japan's really good, low key, in the distance running, and I think he's like their big hope to try to take down the East Africans and Galen Rupp to try to medal. So I think Suguru Osaka is going to be that low key potential medalist.
I'm looking at previous Olympic marathons as a guide here. 2016, Kipchoge, Lalisa, Rupp. Makes sense. That one went to form at least with the medalist. But then you go back to 2012. I don't think anybody had Steven Kiprotich winning that thing. And then you had a lot of favorites fall off. You had a lot of DNFs in that field, right? You had nobody from Ethiopia in that race perform well at all. At all. I mean, that was what is their top finisher? Looking this up right now. Everybody DNF'd in 2012 from Ethiopia. All three. They were 0 for 3 on getting people to the finish line in 2012. 2008, we all know Sammy Wanjiru in the heat. Little more chalk there with expected names. But then you go to 2004, that was the Meb Silver year, right? It was Baldini, Meb, and De Lima. It was Italy, US, Brazil top 3. Who had that as a top 3? It feels like about 50% of the time we get some unexpected results here, not just for gold, but also when you look at the whole medal picture. That was also the year when someone came onto the course and tackled De Lima in the latter miles, which no doubt hampered his ability to get across the line. But even still, it was not a top 3 that you would have forecasted going in. So is this going to be a 2016 year, or is this going to be a 2012 year? Is it going to be a 2008 type of year, or is it going to be a 2004 type of year? And where Hawkins and all these other people factor in is when it's a 2004 type year, or a 2012 year when everybody from Ethiopia drops out, doesn't finish the race.
And it's gonna be hot, so we're not gonna see 203.
Right.
We're not gonna see 204. So.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that that's what we're gonna see. I'm not saying, hey, he ran 203 and Valencia's gonna run 203 now. But what I mean is, are we gonna see a race where they run the equivalent type of time given the weather conditions, where the best people, the people with the most major wins and the people who have the better PRs are able to hold it together and control the race, versus what we've seen in the past where things go completely haywire? Because it was ridiculously hot in Beijing in 2008 and Wanjiru still won. It wasn't the fastest time, in the world, but 206 in that heat, a lot of people think that's one of the best marathons ever, regardless of time, just because of the conditions. So the conditions can be bad and the favorite can still win, is basically what I'm saying. Is it going to be one of those, or is it going to be a situation where everything gets thrown out and by 30K we're thinking, wait, one of these people is going to get the gold medal? Like, it's going to be Suguru Osaka or Abdi Abdurrahman is going to be a gold medalist? What's going on? This is the craziest marathon ever.
Isn't it crazy that in 1904, 328 won the marathon at the Olympics?
Yeah.
347 was third.
I think about that all the time when I think about my career, and just like how it would have been different. All I needed to do would be born 100 years earlier.
Would be a great movie, like a time trial movie, but it's athletics based. And so an athlete trains really hard, gets good, and then obviously can't compete well in the current day, so gets a time machine and goes back to early 1900s and just like wins Olympic medals and becomes like the GOAT of distance running because they're able to run like a 2:59 marathon, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're like the greatest of all time!" And you just basically live like what it's like to be a GOAT in running
Yeah.
because
But
of
you
the
have your
era you're
fitness.
in. You
You
have your
have your
fitness.
you have your 2020 fitness, but you're in
Yeah,
1920. Okay.
exactly.
I like I like that. Although
You just dominate
1920, I'm
everyone.
looking it up. Hannes Kolmanian of Finland threw down a 232. It's pretty good.
Okay, so
And
maybe you gotta go to 1904.
well, there's a lot of people who can run 232 now. I'm saying me personally being as slow. I got to go way back. Someone asked in the chat, do you think Kipchoge will go for the Olympic record, which is the Wanjiru mark, 206.32? I don't think he cares at all about that. I think this is
No.
all about, you're going to see Kipchoge control this race, and you're going to see, because of who he is, people defer to Kipchoge, I think, in this race. And he is going to dictate when the moves are made. He's going to dictate how quick this pace goes, and he's going to run it in the way that he thinks is best for him. Could he accidentally get the Olympic record? 100% he could, because he could run 205 in horrible conditions. But will that be his focus? No, I do not believe so.
All right. We've been 36 minutes into the podcast. Time to do 15 more events of previewing.
It's decathlon time. It is decathlon time. I'm expecting the chat to come alive right now. That's the cue for the chat to come alive.
I
This
think
is it.
Okay, go.
Am I putting too much stock into the chat that they're not going to like the
Yes.
decathlon? Well, if they like the heptathlon, they should also like the decathlon, because this is interesting. Because you got Kevin Mayer of France, 2017 world champion, world record holder, took Ashton Eaton's world record, Gordon.
I know.
But then, as they say, things got complicated. DNF'd in 2019 with an injury, and he doesn't have any outdoor multis this year, competed indoors in a heptathlon. But things haven't been that smooth since he broke Eaton's record. Now, facing him is a guy named Damien Warner of Canada, who won Goatsies, which he's done numerous times before, but this time set a PB, 88.95. He's trying to get that first global gold, Gordon. He's got 3 bronzes and a silver outdoors. He's got more medals indoors, but none of them are gold. Mayer's been in the way. Ashton Eaton's been in the way. He's never been able to get it done. Third ranked guy, you got Nicholas Kahl there. Good pick from Germany, 2019 world champ. Only 5th at Goatsies, and he DNF'd at another competition. So some questions about him. Other notable names from the U.S., Garrett Scantling, 86.47, got his PB at the U.S. Olympic trials. And then Maciel Weibo, who was silver in Doha, and he is coming off a 9th place finish at Goatsies. So can Meyer get back on track? Will Damien Warner finally get his gold? What say you, Gordon?
I think Warner's can continue to be forever a bridesmaid, never the groom. Is that the phrase? Forever bridesmaid, never the groom?
No, a bride.
Forever a bridesmaid, never a bride. I think Warner, I think he's obviously still going to finish in medal, but I think the Mayer factor of like, is he healthy? He hasn't done a full decathlon in some time. He had a solid indoor, and I think his lack of outdoor decathlon is just a factor of situational competitions with COVID and all that stuff. And the decathlon's a very under-contested event, so he's like, all right, I'm fine. I'll be ready to go. I do think Warner is going to challenge him, obviously the most, but I think Mayer is going to find a way to pull it out.
I think it's going to be Warner's time. You can add him to the long list of people who have struggled to get over the hump time and time and time again and finally get it done. I think Mayer's going to be tough to beat. Obviously, he's got the world record for a reason. He's gotten global gold in the past, but when you knock on the door as many times as Damien Warner knocks on the door, eventually opportunity answers, and opportunity is going to be there in Tokyo. I'm feeling good about Damien Warner getting it done this time, because you look not just at how he's done on major championship meets, but like you look at Goatsies, which is what people don't know, the main multi-event competition, he's won it every year since 2016. And he won it in 2013. So he's won 5 in a row, and he's won 6 overall. So he can beat really good people. It's just a matter of doing it when a gold medal is at stake. And I think this is the time for it to happen. U.S. side of things with Scantling up there, I put their medal odds at 15%. Do you think that's too high?
No. I could see Scantling finding a third. I think only one of them. I think the only American will be a third place finisher. Scantling's been coming on strong. Obviously, second in the world right now with his mark. I maybe a little higher. Maybe more like 33.333%. 1/3%. A 1/3.
Sarah also picks Warner. She said he looked good. He looked controlled and almost easy in goatsies. Also, Warner had to train at a hockey rink, no ice during the pandemic because tracks were closed. I'm feeling even better about my pick now, Gordon. I like people who train in a hockey rink with no ice. All right, let's move on. Next event on the list: shot put. Shot put. Convince me why I should not bet my entire house if I have a house still on Ryan Krauser, Gordon.
Here's the thing. Ryan Krauser should be the overwhelming favorite. He is the betting favorite by a large margin. But I truly can see a world where Joe Kovacs wins.
Explain that world to me. I want to know about this world. Explain it to me.
When's the last 20? What was it? I mean, look at this list.
2019.
Was it 2019 when he won? Who won in 2019?
Kovacs.
Yeah.
By a centimeter.
If that can happen, if a center, all you need is a centimeter, man. That's my new T-shirt. All you need is a centimeter. Has multiple meanings. All you need is a centimeter. But I think Joe Kovacs, he's a vet. He knows what he's got to do. I think if Ryan Krauser has a couple bad throws, maybe fouls one or two, just doesn't feel on, and Ryan Krauser is sitting there with 22.98 as his best because he's just having a shit.
A horrible 22.98.
A horrible 22.98, and then Kovacs is like, let's go, and then he throws 22.99.
Okay.
I could see it happening, man. I could see it.
Since 2016, beginning at the Olympic trials in 2016, these guys have thrown against each other 27 times.
Ooh.
Do you know what
this is a good stat? I'm excited for the stat.
Do you know what the record is?
I do not know what the record is.
It's 25-2 in favor of Krauser.
Okay, what are the 2-2s?
The 2-2, one of them is the competition that you just mentioned, the 2019
World Championships.
The 2019 World Championships. The other one comes from a major championship, and that being the World Championships in London in 2017, where Kovacs got silver and Krauser got sixth. But that's it.
Okay,
I mean, so career
when it matters
career-wise,
most.
it's 25-6. Well, hold on though. Career, it's 25-6. Kovacs won the first 4, but since then it's been 25-2. But no, I mean Krauser's beat him in a bunch of U.S. champs. Obviously, Krauser beat him in Rio. They went 1-2 there. But yes,
since Rio, there's only been two
major
global outdoor championships, and he's 2-0 against them.
Okay,
undefeated, never lost.
Counterpoint: since Rio, Ryan Krauser's thrown 23-37.
Yeah, but since Rio, he's always lost to Joe Kovacs. Hey, Joe Kovacs is a Bethlehem, PA dude. Went to Becca High, so I gotta rep my hometown hero. I'm just saying, man, 2-0. It's not.
I like how I gave you a 25-0 stat, and you pulled out the 2 to discount the other 25.
Yeah, but the 2 are the one that matters most. Clayton Murphy says it's best. The only thing that matters is what you do at the World Championships or the
Olympics
Championships.
Don't count. So the Olympics
Well,
don't count.
since the Olympics. So
No,
if
no, no,
it's
no, no.
since the
The
Olympics, you don't
trials.
count that.
No, I said since the
Trials don't
trials.
matter. Who cares if
No,
you
I'm
win or lose
including
the
26.
trials?
Why are you discounting the Rio Olympics is my question, because he beat him at the
Because
Rio Olympics.
because the timeline starts when the after the Olympics. It's you don't include the Olympics. It's like it's like AD and BC. You don't include year zero. You just you
No,
start with one.
I'm saying starting from the Olympic trials in 2016 to now, Ryan Krauser is 25-2 against Joe Kovacs. That includes the Olympic Games in Rio, where Krauser was the gold medalist and Kovacs was a silver medalist. So
Well, I'm not counting that. I'm counting
I
since the
know you're not
Olympics.
counting. That's
He's
and I'm
2 and
telling you
0.
why it's. I'm saying you're wrong for not counting it. Listen, this is fun.
Why are you
This is
including
gonna be an awesome.
2016 stats? It's 2021, man. We are.
Okay,
How
you
about
want me to
this?
include
Past
2021?
4 years. How about in the past 4 years, he's 2 and 0 in global championships.
When do you want me to start counting? Do you want me to start counting from 2020 on? Because he's
I
5
want
and
you to
0
start
against him in
counting
2020.
from September of 2016.
From September of 2016. Okay, I will indulge. From September of 2016 on. So take away
It's 20,
three. Yeah, so take away 3 Krauser wins. So instead of being 25-2, he's 22-2. Does that make you feel better?
and he's 0 and 2 in global championships.
Okay, how about I start it after the London World Championships? Then he's just 0-1. No, I'm taking Krauser. He called his shot. He threw it. He knew it was going to be a world record, 23:37. I think he's going to break his world record again here. But this is fun. This is going to be great. The competition in Doha was what a lot of people say was the greatest field event competition in history between Krauser, Kovacs, and Thomas Walsh, who don't discount Thomas Walsh either. Bronze in 19 and 16, gold in
No, we're going to discount him.
17. He's thrown
We're gonna discount him.
2290. No, his PB
No.
is 1 cent. No. I'm not going to let you make this huge argument for Kovacs and then discount Thomas Walsh, whose PB is 1 centimeter farther back. Come on, have some consistency here.
Okay, I'll have some consistency. Thomas
Don't
Walsh
I'm
also
going to look up his. I'm
has
looking up his record.
never beaten Joe Kovacs. Oh no, he has since 2019. I don't know what I'm saying.
It's 29. Krauser versus Walsh, all time 17-10, with the advantage to Krauser. They've actually thrown against each other twice this year.
Krauser is going to win for what it's worth, but
Okay,
Joe Kovacs, Bethel, PA. Let's go.
I have U.S. medal odds here, 99%. 99% for a medal.
99? No, 100%.
Well, I don't really put anything at 100 or 0 for my.
You did with your house with Noah Lyles winning a 200.
Stop bringing
which
that
I
up.
low key,
That was
which
the worst thing.
previewing when we talk about it next week.
Yeah.
I may or may not think Noah Lyles wins the 200.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. And it's not because I'm worried about my house. It's not because I'm worried about my house. It's because of you somehow talked yourself into a guy never beating another guy being the favorite over the guy. But I'm not gonna talk about that now. I'm not gonna let you distract me because the next thing up is the shot put, which we're gonna discuss.
We already talked
now.
shot put.
Oh, sorry, high jump. We're going high jump. You have Ilya Ivanchuk, authorized neutral athlete number 1 in your rankings. Then you have Javon Harrison, Mikhail Akimenko, another authorized neutral athlete number 3, Mutaz Eshabarsim, 4, and then Maxim Netisenko of Belarus in 5. So a couple notes on these gentlemen. So Ivanchuk, 237 is his personal best. He did that this year. Won Diamond League twice. He's got the bronze from 2019. Javon Harrison, NCAA champ. Akimenko, silver in 19. Barshim is interesting. He's the most well-known of any of these guys internationally because he's won gold. But his season best is only 230, and he was 5th in his last competition. So I'm curious to see what he can do. And then you have Netisenko of Belarus with 237 as well, too. So some 237, 236, 235 guys. But then the person who is the reigning world champion has only got to 230 this year.
Yeah. I think the big question coming out here, obviously, Javon Harrison is doing the double with the high jump, long jump.
Love
I
it.
do think the high jump is going to be harder for him to win than the long jump.
I agree.
I just think I think it's going to take a 2:38 potentially to win. I'm not sure if Harrison's ready to do that. Maybe he is. He's Puma now, so Mr. Jumps Puma. Maybe he's ready to go 2:38 and shock the world.
You had him on the
He's
pod.
got Mondo Duplantis. He's got Mondo Duplantis on his team now, so he's good at going to new heights. So maybe he'll take a. I'm turning this into an ad for Puma. What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing here, man?
What am I doing?
Here. Let me give you. Actually, I'm gonna wait on his schedule because I can break down his schedule for you to see just how interesting this double is gonna be. But
I already broke down his schedule with him on a podcast. Did you listen to it?
Yes, but for the people who are tuning in for the preview, day 1 high jump qualifying, day 2 long jump qualifying, day 3 high jump final, day 4 long jump final. So very doable for him. That's easy for him to do. I'm just curious about Barshim. I think he's the one guy who can totally, if he shows up and is going high 230s, I think that's gonna change things because he's beaten these guys before.
Yeah, I don't think Barshim's gonna be there. I think if Barshim could jump 235, he would have jumped 235 by now. I don't see him all of a sudden jumping 235 in August. I think he's going to tap out at like a 232, 233. So I think Barshim's not going to medal. I think it's going to be between the authorized athletes and Harrison, which is great. I love it when authorized neutral athletes are in contention to win, because I love me some authorized neutral athlete national anthems. They're great.
Yeah.
It's just sleep music. What is it's just like a white noise. Is that what it is? It's just like it's just neutral. I don't know. What do they play?
I think they play now the World Athletics, previously the IAAF song, I thought.
Is it the Diamond League?
No, that would be song? That would be a thing of nightmares. I've had some ideas in the past of songs that they can use, but now, since this is becoming a trend, I think they should get to pick. They should get to pick any song that they want, but it has to be like a pop song. Has to be. It can't be any country's anthem. It needs to be a song that is popular.
Or they can do their country's anthem, but like a remix version, like an R. Kelly remix Ignition, where like that type of stuff.
No. Okay, a remix of the anthem.
Or they could do Kanye's new song, right? Have you heard Kanye's new song, the Doda or whatever? I haven't. Everyone tweets about it though. I feel like I'm getting old.
Well,
he did.
It was in the Sha'Carri ad, right?
No, but he just did a listening party last night. Everyone was tweeting about it. I didn't know it was.
Were you invited? Okay,
I wasn't invited. I should have been.
Long jump.
No, wait. I want to say something else about high jump.
Then do it. Stop talking about Kanye.
So, for people who don't know, a few weeks ago, Anika McPherson, I believed, was snubbed from being on the Olympic team. I did a whole video on it, 16-minute long, about why Anika should have been selected by USATF. You can watch the video. It's really detailed. Long story short, basically, you had to be top 32 to be selected. Anika was 33rd, but there were 3 Americans ahead of her. So she should have been 32nd, because one of those 3 Americans should not have been on that list. That American Taina Butts, who finished, I believe, 14th at the trials. USATF should have removed her from the list, to therefore allow Anika to be top 32 and then eligible to be selected. I made this video. Some people said, hey, USATF is not allowed to remove Taina Butts from the list because, hey, USATF can't remove people. But the World Athletics rule says clearly you can. Basically, I can highlight this document that Anika McPherson tweeted out. Basically, USATF had till June 29th, right before July 1st, to tell World Athletics who they wanted to pick. And basically, USATF should have told World Athletics on June 29th, before the deadline on July 1st, hey, don't we're not gonna nominate Tanita Butts. She finished 14th at our meet. We're not gonna pick her. Please extend your list to the next eligible athlete. And then World Athletics would have done that, and they would have gone to the 33rd ranked person, which was Anika McPherson, who finished second at our trials. And then they would have extended an invite to Anika, and USATF would have been able to send the first place, second place, and fourth place finishers. However, USATF didn't do that. They didn't do it either because of negligence, because they didn't know they were allowed to do that. Maybe they thought, hey, if we remove Tanita Butts, we might have a lawsuit on our hands. But they were within the rules, clearly written by World Athletics, to remove an athlete from their quota in order to ensure that a different athlete gets invited in the quota, and that different athlete would have been Anika, who again finished second, and USATF should try to honor second over 14th. Now, it is July 23rd when I'm talking about this. The Olympics are in a week. Is there still any slimmer of hope for Anika to be on the team? Technically, yes. USATF does have a clause in their rules that they're allowed to remove people from a team for different reasons. One is injury. Another is positive test. Another one is, I forget what the third one is. I don't know, ineligible. And then the fourth one is clerical or administrative selection error, where they make an error. And this is clearly the error. So they have in the rules that they're allowed to fix mistakes. So that's one thing. Even though technically you could say it's final, they're allowed to switch based on mistakes. They made a mistake. They should not be sending the 14th place finisher over the second place finisher over a technicality that they refuse to acknowledge. I'm saying is there's a rule book. It's in the rules. You're allowed to remove an athlete from the quota, and they didn't do it. And they should have. And Tanita Butts recently jumped like 175. So it's not like Tanita had like a bad day at the trials. She's not jumping over 190, which is what Anika has done. Regardless, it sucks. It's a travesty for Anika. You got to feel for her. I'm sure Tanita is kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't know. Like, it's nothing on Ty Butts. She's not the one who picked herself, right? It's USATF who did the problem. So this has nothing to do with Ty Butts Townsend, but Anika McPherson had a way to be on the Olympic team, and USATF did not use the rules that were given to them to allow her to be on the team. And Anika deserved preferential treatment over Tanita Butts because Anika finished second at the trials and Ty Butts finished 14th. This isn't, hey, let me in because technically I was here. Even though I finished 8th, let me in. USATF should have sent their first, second, and fourth place finishers, not the first, fourth, and 14th place finishers. And it was within the rules. You're allowed to remove someone from the quota. And USATF chose not to remove Tanita Butts from the quota. Watch the full video. I talk about it. I don't know what else to do. Do you have any thoughts on this whole situation?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. And I think we were all wondering with the rankings, not if, but when a situation like this would come up, because we knew it wasn't going to be clear cut. And we thought it might be something like the men's 1500, but it ended up being the women's high jump where there was a situation like this, hoping that things get a little clearer by the time we do this the next time there's a major championship, which would be next year. And listen, they're probably going to start leaning on the rankings more, not less. That's the reality of it. So these things need to be clarified even further. Let's move on to the next event that we're previewing. Men's long jump, the other half of the Harrison double. Not the favorite in this event, we should mention, but has the ability to win. And you think he has a better chance in this one than he does in the high jump. The favorite, your favorite here, is Tentagolu of Greece, then Gale of Jamaica, who won in Doha. You have Harrison third, Echeverria, who's had some massive jumps over the past couple of years of Cuba in fourth, and then Stephen McCarter and Marquis Dendy fifth and sixth. So strong event for the U.S. if you're watching from that perspective. Tentoglu as 860, best two jumps of the year. So you like him for that. Gale obviously is proven commodity. Echevarria, he's got that wind aided 892 PB, which is nuts, and an 868 legal PB, but he's only done 838 this year, and he's gotten beat a couple times. So he feels like the wild card to me. He could go there and just destroy everybody, or he could finish fifth. I mean, he was third in Doha. So I don't really know what to expect from him. If you're going on your Carl Lewis theory of consistency, you might lean more towards Gale in this event, or Tentoglu, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up what the odds are. Tentoglu is the favorite, but only a plus 275. So, and then Harrison is second favorite, plus 400. So no one is like heavy favorites, right? They think it's basically a wide open field between Harrison, Tentoglu, Gale.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think Harrison has the best shot to win this event, because I think Harrison has consistently been jumping well. He hasn't had a flash in the pan type performance. He's been jumping over 8 meters all the time. Like his worst mark he'll ever throw down will be like an 810. Mm-hmm. I think Harrison is going to find a way to win this. I mean,
I don't know, man. Tentoglu's been pretty solid too. You're looking at 3 jumps, 838 or farther too. Harrison's done it twice. So do you think the college season is going to catch up to Harrison at all?
No.
I know it doesn't look like he's been phased at all by it, but I just wonder.
No, he's been used to doing this. I think it's just going to be, I don't think he's going to be burnt out. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's been through enough doubles and triples or whatever he's been doing through SECs and NCAAs that he's going to be, the workload's not going to feel any different. So I don't think he's going to feel tired.
All right.
Yeah, I do understand why Tentoglu is the favorite. I ranked him the favorite. I ranked him number 1. But I think Harrison, what I see is Harrison also has the mental factor, the long jumps after the high jump. So I could see him like coming off of like a third or second or even a fourth in the high jump. And then he's like, all right, here we go. I'm going to get my gold now. Like you have that extra motivation from a loss.
Yeah. I just want to see, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential for a huge jump here, be it from Echevarria or Harrison or another one from Tentoglu. I just want to see something big is what I'm saying here. I'm cheering for distance in this one, Gordon. I just want to see a big number on the board. That's all I want to see.
Wait, you're cheering for like distance running or distance, actual distance? Like
actual distance in the long jump. I'm cheering for an 870. That's what I'm cheering for. I'm on team 870. I might see if Lincoln can make me a shirt that just says 8.0. And like the greater than 8.70. I don't know. I want like a historical mark in the long jump. Like I've seen, Echevarria's done the 868. He's done 890, but it was windy, as I mentioned before. I don't know. I think we could see it if we get the right conditions and the right competition. But I just want to see something big. Anyway, triple jump. What are your thoughts on the triple jump?
My thoughts. I got 3 thoughts on the triple jump. Thought 1 of the triple jump. Let me bring up my rankings. So we normally have Trav. I think Travis is gone now, so now our rankings are going to be just us.
Oh, I should mention too, by the way, Gale was 869. Gale was 869 in Doha, so it's not like he can't go far too. So maybe I want something more than 870. Maybe I want to get greedy. Maybe I want an all-time 874 would get you top 10 all time. Maybe that's what I want to see. All right. Triple jump.
So thought number 1 is a bummer thought. No Christian Taylor, right? We've already kind of gone through the reality that Christian Taylor wasn't going to be at the Olympics. I think, though, the way Zango has been jumping, that Christian Taylor probably might not have won. So maybe it's a good thing he got hurt. Not I'm being facetious when I say that, but it is a bummer with no Christian Taylor. I love seeing him jumping in the 5th and 6th round, finding a way to always be there to get that gold medal or silver at worst. So that's my first thought is bummer that's no Christian Taylor of USA.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be back by 2022. Thought number 2 is you want to see distance. I think we will see distance with Zango. I think Zango is huge favorite
Pichardo
over
too.
everyone else. I
Pichardo?
think Pichardo will push him,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Zango's the one who's going to end up farthest,
Okay.
aka longest distance. And then I think we might feel a little disappointed from Will Clay and Donald Scott of USA. I think without Christian Taylor there, USA's like dominance in the event is going to feel a little muted. Clay could find a way on the top 3, but I just don't see it happening this year. I have Cuba's Andy Diaz finishing 3rd on my
So
rankings.
Clay, super consistent, obviously, throughout his career. 4 silvers, 3 bronzes, outdoors. And he's jumped 814. It's hard to figure out these Olympics for him because he's only jumped in 2 meets. So we just don't know. So I'm not going to count him out just because he's never had a bad championship, basically. He's always in the mix seemingly every single time. So I don't think he's going to be a non-factor. I think he'll be there. But I agree. I think Zango could go huge. I mean, indoor world record. He's gone over 18 meters. Pichardo obviously has been super solid. He's got medals too. Diaz, it's 1763. Will that be enough? I don't know. You also got Tricky in there from Algeria, 1733. I put the medal odds at 30%. Sounds like you'd go lower than that for the U.S.
Yeah, I'll probably go lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up, let's go pole vault. Pole vault, where Mondo Duplantis is the favorite. 615. He's got the world record. He's vaulted 610 this year. Doesn't have a global gold though. Does not have that global outdoor gold medal.
He
But he's
doesn't?
the only guy over. No, he was silver in 19.
Oh, really? Who won in 19?
Kendricks. Kendricks is always there when it matters,
Man.
and he was the 19 and 17 champ. So it's interesting. If you want to look at the top, let's just take the top 3, and we'll talk about Lavillenie because he's been pretty good this year too. He's been pretty solid for a guy who's been around as long as he has. But if you just look at the top 3 with Mondo, give Chris Nielsen 2nd, correct, and then you have Kendricks 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mondo is 6-1 against Kendricks this year. So they vaulted against each other 7 times, which is awesome, indoors and out. And then you look at Nielsen, and Nielsen has lost to him 7 straight since he upset Mondo at NCAAs. So he's been he's been on a bit of a revenge tour against Nielsen, but Nielsen's been pretty solid. So he's in the mix as well. I think the consensus is, if everybody's at their best, obviously Mondo's going to go to a place that nobody else can go. But pole vault competitions aren't that straightforward. Kendricks' season best 592, which is the same as Lavilleni's. Nielsen's at 595. You have Obina in there from the Philippines, Lisek of Poland, Braz of Brazil, who's the reigning Olympic champion. There's a lot that can happen here. I think the only one certainty this year is if Mondo is 90%, then he's going to get the gold.
Yeah, BetMGM has Mondo as minus 650, so that's heavy favorite. Kendrick's a plus 800. It's good money. But Chris Nielsen has that Matthew Centrowitz type money with 20 to 1 odds. And Nielsen beat Kendricks at USA's, right?
Yeah.
So, and Nielsen has beaten Duplantis at NCAAs. So maybe got put a couple bucks on that 20 to 1 odds to get. The thing about gambling though on Olympics is there's only one champion, right? It's not like you have like 3 opportunities to get the medal, right?
Yeah.
So you got, in the end, it's like Mondo's gonna win. Like
I don't.
It's fun putting money on Nielsen or Kendricks, but Mondo's gonna win.
I think, but pole vault it's wonky enough to where you might want to you might want to take a flyer. And Kendricks has been good enough in major championships to where you'd at least think twice. You at least think twice about it. I do like the whole idea of Nilsson beating Mondo at NCAAs and Mondo saying never again. It's just not going to happen again. Sorry, it doesn't matter.
Here's a question:
if it's in a diamond league, any competition, I'm going to beat you from here on out.
If Mondo were to lose,
mm-hmm.
when do we start having a conversation? Is Mondo like big, like big stage choke artist? I mean, NCAA Outdoors, 2019 Worlds. The guy literally is the greatest vaulter the world has ever seen. He's better than anyone else. He's gonna make jumping over 6 meters in his sleep. He's gonna break the world record 5 more times in his career because he's gonna keep on PRing by a centimeter. But if he were not to win, it would be kind of weird that this man who's just dominating all the competitions, breaking world records left and right, can't seem to put together on the one day that matters most, which is a global championship.
I would wait to have that conversation well, first let's see if he loses, right?
Okay.
But then wins his other major. You listed 2 competitions he didn't win. One was the NCAA championships, which is not the same thing. And the other one was the 2019 World Championships. And 2019 World Championships, the gap was not the same between him and everybody else. It's different. The 2020, 2021 Mondo is way, way different. Like going into that competition, Kendricks had the best vault of the year going into Doha. Mondo had vaulted 6 meters, right? But Kendrick and Lisek, I'm looking it up now. So Mondo had the 3rd best vault of the year. So that doesn't even count, in my opinion, as underperforming. So this would be, the NCAA upset happens, but I don't think anybody's like looking at his career in terms of NCAA championships. This he's the huge favorite here. He should win this, but I think this would be the first instance. It just seems like he's been a favorite for forever because he's been good at such a young age. And if the Olympics happened in 2020 and the World Championships were happening now, we'd probably be looking at his 2nd gold right now. And his big 2020 happened when there was no
2020.
Championships.
They took it away.
Exactly. Yeah. 3 more to go. 3 more to go.
Let's do it.
They're all throwing events. Discus, hammer. Oh, and by the way, on that pole vault, I have U.S. medal odds at 65%. In my unofficial things that mean nothing.
I'd say discus, 75%. 75% for Gordon.
Okay, you're always higher than me on these American.
I'm always higher.
Odds. Yeah. Okay. It's funny to see the chat a little bit of a delay because they're making the point that I just made, like just now, but they're just hearing it because I go back and forth to chat. They're like, wait a minute. He only lost 1 major championship. Okay, discus, javelin, and hammer. Discus, the story is Danny Stahl of Sweden, 2019 champ. He's got the 2 best throws of the year. He's been solid. Christian Che, Slovenia, he's the only other guy over 70 meters this year. Christoph Harding of Germany was the 2016 Olympic champ, but his throw is only the 28th best performer of the year, I should say. Let's see. From the U.S. side, Mason Finley won the trials champ. Reggie Jagers has the best U.S. throw this year, but he was 2nd at trials. And he's thrown 67.82, which I think came recently. Do I have that right? Was that like this week that he threw that big throw? I think it was. Anyway, what do you think of the discus? I mean, to me, it just looks like I'm thinking of somebody else. Sorry, Jagers' 67.82 was in the beginning of June. But so you have Stahl, Che, Simone Pedersen, and then Lucas Weibhendinger. That's a tough one for me. I apologize. And then Andreas Goodnies are the top 5 throwers of the year.
I love listening to you say East European names. It's fun.
Well, that was Austria. That was like Western Europe, Austria.
Western, Eastern, it's Europe, just European names. So Stahl, he's thrown 7 of the top 11 marks this year, including 3 of the top 4.
Yeah.
He has shown like, every time field events, even really any event, field and sprint, and not distance really, field and sprint, consistency wins. And someone who has consistently been throwing or running multiple marks near the top of the field, you are going to look like to do well when it comes to championship performance, because you're going to get 6 throws, you get multiple rounds. I do think that Stahl has shown going into this that he's the man to beat, and I don't think anyone beat him. I mean, you could argue Christian Shea is the closest because he has 2 of the top 5. He's the only other guy in that top 5. But Stahl, I mean, he's thrown 71-40. It's almost he's a full meter better this season than Shea. It's Stahl for the win. No question. His odds are only minus 225. It's not too bad. I wouldn't bet it, but
yeah.
Well, I have to. So I'm betting $100. So here's a question for you. I'm betting $100 on every event. So I'm betting $4,500 because there's 45 events. I'm not doing race walk. I'm not going to bet race walk. I don't know that.
Don't do this, guys. Don't.
Why
do
not?
What Gordon's doing. No, you can do it. I'm saying other people
Okay.
don't do what you're doing.
The question is, I'm not placing all the bets on day one, right? I'm placing them the day before because of COVID. I don't want anyone to scratch and screw up. So you're either going to see my happiness go up over the trial, over the Olympics, or go down. You're going to constantly tell me, Gordon, give up. It's not worth it. Like, you're out $1,000. Let's just end it now. I'm like, no, man, I have still $3,000 left. So
Okay,
we'll see how it goes.
If you're okay, hold on. I'm getting some pronunciation here. Oh wow, it's a double S in German. So Y is pronounced like wise. Thank you, wise. Okay. Here's the problem though. If you're doing $100 per event, that means you're basically only going to be bet. You're never going to bet on anybody with minus odds, right?
Yeah, you probably shouldn't, right?
Well,
Unless
you
you're
have you have to bet more to get any money.
No, you only win like $25.
Yeah.
So you bet $100.
Is that what you want to do?
$25.
I mean, I guess you could do that. Well, like if you're gonna bet it, so you're gonna bet against Krauser, you're basically just giving them $100 though.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting. Yeah. Maybe I need to reevaluate because it's better if there were some of the odds.
I'd love to see you lose your money. To be honest, I would love to see you lose your money.
But right now, the only odds I can find where there's odds for top 3 is the men's 100. Like men's 100 has medal odds, which is good.
Yeah. Yes.
Which have already moved. God dang it! Oh, I should have bet this already. Like they had Simbine, the Simbine as plus money, but now he's minus, so that's not good. I should put it all on Fred Curley. 12 to 1 odds to win gold. That's not happening. Anyway, let's reset. Discus, Stahl's going to win. That's what's happening. Back to our regular schedule programming.
I like, again, it would be fun for me to track you throughout these Olympics and the misery that you feel. But I think when you make it X amount per event, it's going to be tough, especially when you have a situation like, I don't know, the pole vault, for example, and someone's just like a huge favorite. If you're putting down $100 on a minus 800 bet, I don't even know if they'll even take that. I don't know how that works. I could ask Jason. He knows more about this stuff.
Well, they'll take it. So. You just win $8. That's the difference.
Right. And then what's your transaction fee? I mean, then you got to really be asking yourself
there's no transaction fees. Are there transaction fees?
There's transaction fees in life. That's just
that's true.
And you always
here's the thing. I just want to give myself like, this is the amount of money I'm willing to lose, and then play, and then go.
Right.
That's the game.
I think you should.
I don't want to chase money. I just want to like. Pick a number.
But I think you should be more judicious with where you put it, and not just say it's going to be an even amount on every single event.
True. I should take like 500 on one event and not 100 on 5 events. Yeah,
like go where you think there's actual value and do that.
I appreciate you giving me this advice.
Well, because you're just locking yourself into. Now this could backfire because maybe statistically speaking, you'll win on some underdogs, and that'll be better. And I should probably tell you to go against your instincts because your instincts are usually wrong, as anybody who's seen the rankings or listened to you have a take understands. But like you could just force yourself into some bets that are bad, and you're just giving them $100 basically. Versus,
That's
I
true.
mean, how confident are you? How confident are you in at least one out of every four like second place people winning? Like in terms of by second place, I mean the second best odds.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to reevaluate. Maybe I don't know yet. I have to make my Excel sheets. I have to figure it out. Here's the thing: I'm not a big gambler, and so this would be the first time I've ever like gambled major money on sports. I figured this is where I start because I feel like I know track and field better than I know like how many points the Eagles are going to score. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I will. This is probably a good. I think it's good that I'm constantly like overthinking it because that means I care about money because I don't want to lose
Yeah.
it. So that's a good thing.
There's
Anyway.
one that I saw that piqued my interest, but we could talk about it next week because I think it might actually move. Anyway, Hammer, Paweł Fajek of Poland, your number one ranked athlete. He's thrown 82.98 this year. 83.93 is his personal best. He's won the last 4 world titles, but Gordon, but he has 5 losses this year. I'm willing to bet he's your only number one ranked athlete across any discipline that has lost 5 times this year. Several of those losses have come to Nowicki, his countryman, who's beaten him 4 times. He's also lost 4 times to him. So that's an interesting battle to watch with Poland. Rudy Winkler of the U.S. trials champ in that American record, 82.71. He's in the mix. Then you have Kokan of Ukraine in there as your number 4 ranked thrower. Trivia question, Gordon. How many times have the 2 Polish throwers, Fajek and Nowicki, competed against each other?
How many
in
times?
Their careers.
Oh, in their careers?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see how long his career's been. About 10 plus years. 60.
102.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
You got the record? You got the record?
I do have the record. Do you want to know? Let me pull it up.
I do
want
to
to
know.
It's on
We
there.
got to keep going down this segment bit, so you got to keep going.
No, it was interesting to me because I thought, well, how many active track and field athletes in general have competed against each other 102 times? So Fajek and Nowicki of Poland, 81-21 in favor of Fajek. 81-21 in favor of Fajek. Going back to their first competition was 2009 Polish National Championships. I have U.S. odds here, 25%, because I think Winkler's solid.
25%, I feel like Winkler is solid, but yeah. When's the last time a U.S. athlete in the men's U.S. athlete has medaled in the hammer?
In the Olympics?
Or in the global championships?
You go back to Lance Deal in 96, obviously.
It's a long time.
But let's look at world championships. They're not as strong as the women, as we talked about last time. Right? That's the lock of all locks on the women's side of things. Men's hammer. That's Olympics. Dang it, I can't find it. Can't find it. Someone in the chat will let me know. Speaking of the chat, they have thoughts on your gambling. A good point here. Someone says $100 per event is more fun and better for content. So
that is true.
That is true. So what do you love more, content or your money?
I mean, part of me wanting to do it is for the content, and we could just say like, "Hey, I'm up and down," and like, did I lose $300 or $400 today, or did I make $300 or $400? So,
yeah. And again, it might be a way to fall backwards into some success too, because you'd be forced to pick a long shot and then that would basically, you hit on 2 of those, and
Yeah.
that sustains you. So I don't know.
I just feel like
I,
I looked at my rankings in 2019 and I've correctly picked like 55 to 60% of the gold medal winners.
okay.
So I would think if I can correctly predict 55 to 60%.
$200 per event. $200 per event.
No, but if I could correctly predict 60% of the Olympic champions, that should be able to get my money back. But the problem is, I'm only going to win like $50 for picking Trayvon Bromell and lose $100.
Okay, Okay, here's a scenario. I'll just give you a scenario. Men's high hurdles. Who do you think is going to win?
Grant Holloway.
Okay, so according to the odds I'm looking at here, you'd have to bet 250 to win 100 with Grant Holloway. So if you want to go into plus odds, Ronald Levy of Jamaica, who's a plus 750. So you could make 750, but what do you think the chances of Ronald Levy beating Grant Holloway are?
Well, there's just going to be people who I have to stay away from, right? You don't pick against Holloway. You don't pick against Mondo.
They're saying for content, you need to pick every event, is what they're saying for content.
Yeah, so I would just bet $100 on Grant Holloway.
Yeah.
And then I win $25, whatever his odds are. So I come back with $125. So I'm risking $100 to win $25. That's what I would do. And if I do that, but like if I pick 5 favorites and then combined I make $150 after betting $500. So it's not good odds. It's not good. You probably shouldn't do it, but content. Because every time going into every final, we're like, who do you think's going to win? Right? Yeah. And all we have to, I just know whoever I say could lose $100 because of it. So there's like a lot more pressure in who I pick because I'm like, I think Grant Holloway's going to win, and I may lose $100 for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So
last event here.
Yeah.
Javelin. Johannes Vetter. Speaking of a lock, he's the lock of all locks. Gordon. Top 7 throws of the year. He's thrown 96.29. Only guy over 90 meters. He was bronze in 2019, but that was his last loss. Undefeated. 2020, 2021. Gold in 2017 as well. Other people who will factor into the medals, Chopra of India, Krakowski of Poland, Walcott, Trinidad and Tobago, Mardare of Moldova. And then you have Michael Shua of the U.S., who was second at the trials and just threw 85 meters recently. Puts him 9th on the list this year. And then Anderson Peters, 2019 champ, but he's only thrown 83.46 this year. Feel good about Vetter. Feel very good about Vetter. Everybody else pretty low. I guess I'd put the U.S. medal odds at somewhere around 5%.
Yeah, Vetter's going to win. He's the best. He's the Mondo of the javelin right now. Without the championship, with the championship pedigree. So,
yeah,
that's what I got to say about that.
I guess with Vetter, it's just, man, that type of consistency and just the PB that much better than everybody else who's in the mix this year makes him a pretty big favorite. So,
yeah,
javelin.
He's 7 of the top 7 marks.
Yeah, and you look like, the drop off, because if you just sort it by everybody's best mark, it goes from 96.29 to Krakowski's 89.55. So it's almost 7 meters there.
And let's see if Krakowski's ever thrown over 90.
I don't think
personal best. He's never thrown over 90.
Yeah.
So even if you take PB of Krakowski doesn't beat Vetter, and then Walcott of Trinidad and Tobago, his personal best is 90.16 from 2015, which is not going to repeat. So, yeah, Vetter is the heavy. Yeah.
It's got to be weird going into Olympic competition and being like, hey, I just need to throw within 5 meters of my best. and I can win. It's got to be an interesting headspace to be in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bet $100 on better, and I will win $20. It's gonna be great.
Oh man. Okay, I think that'll do it. That's everything on the field event side of things. So if you missed the beginning of the show, if you're tuning in live, the people listening on the podcast know they've already listened to it. But we did Centro at the top, and then the marathon first, then the decathlon. So if you missed the beginning, you can go back and grab that. Next week we're doing the running event previews. So Monday.
And also, we have a live event in 2 days at the Under Armour Sunset Tour in California. Big names: Brandon Kidder, Drew Windle in the men's 800. Robbie Andrews is there. 800. Ephraimson, Olivia Baker, Emily Richards, blah, 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 blah. Nia Akins, Nikki Hiltz, Allie Wilson, Marta Freitas in the 8. 1500, you got Sarah Vaughn, Carissa Nelson, Ellie Hines, Dana Mecki, Eleanor Fulton. I think the best event, though, will be the men's 1500. You got Sam Prakel, Eric Jenkins, Vincent Cietti, Charles Phillip Thibault, Louis Grijalva, Johnny Gregoric, Isaac Yorks, Henry Wynn, Paul Ryan, not the congressman, and Eric Avila. So that men's 1500 should be good. And then women's 5K, Josette Norris coming off her sub 4 is going for another fast 5K. So that should be really good. It's a great meet. It's on July 25th. So watch that live on Flo.
All right. Thanks to Colt. Thanks to Travis. Again, next week, Monday will be the women's running event previews. Wednesday will be the men's running event previews. And then starting Friday morning, we'll go live recapping in the morning the day's action. It'll make sense. We're going to get on Tokyo time. We're going to be on Tokyo time. It'll all make sense. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Subscribe to the podcast. We'll talk to you guys next week.